let me introduce myself. I am Nanny Pammy. Well, I am to my little grandson Jacob here. And you know, being a grandparent is absolutely great. There are about 14 million of us in the UK, and for most it's a really joyful experience, sometimes heartbreaking, often a combination of the two. But for me it's been very special because when I got married 9 years ago, I took on 6 daughters, and that made a total of 8 children between us. And I have to say it has been a great blessing. And you know the best thing about being Nanny Pammy? As much as I love Jacob to bits, when he needs changing, here you are, Mum. Tonight we celebrate grandparents. How for some they've been an inspiration, and how for others being a grandparent has changed their lives. You know, there is an old Welsh proverb which says that perfect love sometimes doesn't come until the first grandchild, and I think there's something in that. When I first became a mother, I thought that nothing could beat the experience of being a mum, and now I'm a grandma, and that's even nicer. It feels as if I've completed the circle, a circle of love. Our music today comes from Coventry Cathedral, and we start with a hymn which is a perfect expression of love's power through God.
I grew up in a really loving family. I had a very, very happy childhood. It wasn't until I was a teenager that I realised my grandmother was not my real grandmother, but that my mother had been adopted when she was a baby.
As she grew older, Elizabeth became fascinated to know about her real grandmother. With just a name and an old address taken from her mother's adoption certificate, she set about searching for any record of her grandmother's death.
I had to trawl through each of the registry sheets, and I sat down every evening with my laptop on my knee. I remember the moment when I found her We were actually watching football on the television. And suddenly there it was, Miriam Sabina Garrett. And there could be no doubt about it because of that strange middle name. And I was trembling looking at it. There she was, real.
Sadly, Elizabeth's real grandmother had died in 1970, aged 71 and unmarried. But for Elizabeth, there was a further lead.
On the death certificate, she was down as a retired chief model maker for the City Architects Department in Coventry. So I rang the City Library and I got through to somebody and they said, "Oh, that's the lady who wrote the poem, isn't it?" And I said, "Poem? What poem? I don't know anything about her." So she said, "Oh yes, she wrote a poem about Coventry and it sold hundreds of copies." It's not great poetry, but she wrote very feelingly about Coventry during the war. And she quoted Jesus' words on the cross, "Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do." And I read this and I thought, this is amazing. And it was like turning a focus on a camera and a face and a personality beginning to come together.
Over time, Elizabeth discovered more about her grandmother, that she'd also been a well-known artist in her hometown of Coventry.
It was unexpected to find that my grandmother was somebody that I could connect with. I felt that I could connect with on many levels and on a level of faith as well. And as I've gone on, I've been really surprised about how much it's meant to me. She was obviously a warm person. She had a faith and she put it all together in this way which really touched people, and that was so warming to feel, yes, this is the grandmother we've been looking for, really. She's part of my life now.